Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is 9 o'clock here, a little after, on Wednesday night. Time for the 14First Alert Weather Show at 9 o'clock. We have some great weather, of course, to finish out the week before things start to turn a little bit over the weekend. And if you have questions, comments, I'm watching the 14 News Facebook page to see those in just a little bit. What a night out there. We have breezy conditions, kind of variable winds, but generally out of the south. And temperatures have eased a bit. And also, if you've been out this evening, and it's a good night to do this, you can check out the conjunction or closeness of Jupiter and Venus out there. Those are the two bright objects in the western sky. Mercury probably has set by now, but it's very low again on the western horizon. You've probably noticed these two. They've been up there for about a week and a half or even 2 weeks. They got their closest on the 1st of June with the conjunction, and now they will appear to move a little farther apart. The temperatures will stay on the cool side again tonight, just not down to 52 like we had this morning. We should see readings at about 60 overnight, and then it becomes a little more humid and a little warmer each day, and that'll lead us into a weekend that will bring some scattered showers and maybe some thunderstorms on Sunday. Nothing to show you on the radar, not nearby, not even far away. We'd have to go clear out into the Great Plains, and we'll do that here in a minute. About the only thing in the sky will be just a few clouds during the day Thursday and a little more cloudiness on Friday, possibly some pop-up showers in the afternoon and evening, although the better chances or the chances will increase as we get into the weekend. Temps tonight are in the 70s out there. Last night at this time we were already down into the mid-60s. So you can tell that humidity a little higher there. The dew point's at 56. And as I said, we hit 52 this morning in good company here with much of the Ohio River Valley. And that is on the, it's not a record, but it's closer to a record than it is to the normal for this time of the year, if that makes sense. 83 this afternoon. Those temperatures rank 5 degrees warmer than what we had yesterday at this time. Our low this morning was 10 degrees colder than the average, and our high this afternoon was right where it should be. So we have 3 in a row now, 80-degree days there to kick off this first week of June, and still no rain. We'll have to wait for that, and therefore our rainfall deficit will get a little bigger each day. Our average temperature with these cool nights is slightly cooler than normal, but that's with only 3 days averaged in. All right, now we look at the bigger picture, and you can see where that cold front has started to become better defined. Out ahead of it is where we have the showers and some thunderstorms. A few severe thunderstorms popped this afternoon, and probably more again tomorrow, but generally in the north and west, way north and west of the tri-state, up here in South Dakota and Nebraska. So through Thursday, Friday, our winds shift around to the south. That'll make it muggier out there and eventually support some showers and storms along that cold front as it gets closer to us over the weekend. And some of the longer range models that I'll show you here in a moment kind of have it stalling out, which isn't a bad thing if you want daily chances for rain, which is kind of what we're thinking next week. Those temps will stay slightly above average, but all in all, pretty typical fare for June. Okay, here's the GFS model. We're going to look at this and the European. Notice here on Saturday afternoon and evening, the rain chances are north, and then on Sunday overspreading the region. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be raining every place it's green, but there will be scattered showers and a few thunderstorms within that range. The best chances where you see the darker greens on the screen there. And those chances will continue Monday, Tuesday, maybe even into Wednesday next week. The rain potential based on just kind of the average of how much moisture will be in the atmosphere and projected rainfall, that is probably not even close to being right, 5 3/4 inches. This is why we usually don't show this stuff on TV. People would freak out. Although this is like TV, it's getting closer all the time. But if you're watching the weather show here, you already are pretty savvy about how the models can be wildly off. And if you saw something like that posted on your socials, hopefully you'd scroll on by or delete it. And my back itches. I mowed the grass today. You ever had that happen and it kind of gets in your shirt and then, later you're still, I mean, I took a shower, but anyway. Oh, it's good to be here on the stream just to air my gripes, right? Let's see, where were we? Saturday, rain, and this is the European, showing some scattered showers, and then Sunday, Monday, same thing, and the European also highlighting daily rain chances going into next week. So at least the two models agree. Let's see how far out in space the Europeans' estimate on rainfall is. 1.33 inches. I'd buy that over the next 7 days. That's reasonable. Anything, I mean, we typically only get about 4 inches of rain in an entire month, so you'd have to have quite the deluge for the model to accurately predict that. Anyway, the bottom line here is we will get daily chances for rain, and hopefully the European will be close and we'll get that inch of rain or so. It's nice to get about an inch of rain each week during the growing season. 60 tonight, clear skies, 85 tomorrow, mostly sunny. And we have, just the rain moving in next week, which we need. And it's time for, you have to pay for the nice days at some point. Our temperatures will stay above normal too, not a shocker there. And rainfall not particularly above normal, but at least a better chance of it. And our pet pick tonight is of Little Boy up there on the chair. I know what's itching now. It's cat fur. It's not grass, it's cat. I picked a cat up before I left and it's like all over me. You ever have that? It like sticks to your face. We're still having skirmishes at my house. The girl cats do not get along. So I was trying to kind of marshal them. All right, let's see what's on your mind here. Okay. Let's see who's in here tonight. It's probably just our same club here, as Jeff Miller likes to call it, the Lion's Den. My grandmother, that's what they called their basement. They even had a sign made up, that said the Lion's Den. It had a lion on it and some balloons and stuff. They were usually down there drinking highballs when I was a kid, running around riding my trike. All right, here we go. Suzanne Daly, watching from Morganfield. Good to have you along here. Lenny Howard's in from Whitesville. There's Jeff Miller. Jeff has a request in for Science Corner. We're going to honor that here in just a minute. Susan Hicks, good evening. Zach Seats, any threat for severe thunderstorms? Over the weekend and into next week, wouldn't surprise me to get some. It's just that time of the year, but I did look, longer range, the Storm Prediction Center and the CSU MLP. No big sign for severe weather. We don't really have a really forced or dynamic system coming in. It's just kind of one thing after another. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm not thinking, severe weather outbreak in any form at this stage. James Garrison, isn't June in the history books for, it was 1992, or was it 92 when all the tornadoes hit? Over 50, was it? Yeah, that was June the 2nd, 1990 is the year you're thinking of. 65 tornadoes in that outbreak. We actually talked about that the other night. Let's see. William Raleigh's going to northern Indiana. Oh, you're going to watch Big Boy come across. Okay. Yeah, it's coming through, is it Fort Wayne or Waterloo? It's wherever I think the Amtrak line goes up there. William Raleigh's following, there's this huge locomotive. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the largest still operating steam locomotive in the world. And this thing's been going all the way across country. I think it was Union Pacific, right, which would be based out west. And it's making this trip, this big steam locomotive. So people are lining up along the way to see it. Well, I hope you get to see it and get some good pictures there. Will Tesla be attending? All right. Somebody asked a question. Stacy wants to know, did I get a new cat? No. We are tapped out on cats at the house. I'll tell you what happened. So the three of them were in the basement, and they're shedding. So I'm trying to chase them around and kind of brush them. But when you do that, then it's like making cotton candy. It flies in the air and it gets all over you, and then you can't quite ever get it off. I should have, I don't know what to do, but it's just like that. So yeah, we're still, maybe I'll post a video of that tomorrow. I'll see. But I can't get the two girl cats to get along. The one girl cat, Sissy, the one that we had originally, like won't come close to me. I have to seek her out. Won't sleep on the bed anymore. And then the other two, Bobby, which was the original, and then Penelope, my daughter's cat, they've set up camp at night on the bed. So I'll probably be the next to go. They'll just boot me out. Let's see. Tesla won't be with you. Okay, you'll send a couple pics. Yeah, we can put Big Boy on the weather show, absolutely. Yeah, and if you would email me those pics, would you? And then that's the way I'll definitely see them. The thing that we get pictures through on the website, we've had some issues with it. So just email it over and you get preferential treatment there since you're a regular flyer here on the weather show. All right, Jeff Miller wanted to know all about derechos. And so let's talk about that for a couple of minutes. First off, haven't had one yet this year, at least not here in the tri-state. And what a derecho is that it's basically a long-lived wind event, damaging winds. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty on that. But before we can get to that, we have to talk a little bit about storm structure and storm formation. And we're talking now about organized severe thunderstorms. And it depends a lot on how the atmosphere is stacked up, where the wind shear is, low-level jet, and et cetera, as to how a line of storms or complex will develop. And so in the early stage, oftentimes we will just get kind of individual, or we call those discrete supercells in a higher end event. And what happens over time is as those mature and grow, sometimes, not always, but sometimes they will merge into a line. And when that happens, then they kind of all work together. And typically the big threat will be damaging winds when you get a line of organized storms or an organized line of storms. And that's often when you'll see that shelf cloud, the flying saucer or the mothership cloud coming in is along a derecho or at least a line of storms. Now, when they merge, the storms organize and, as I said, damaging winds become possible. And then during the mature stage, sometimes the line will accelerate. And we have a lot of different phrases for that. This is not very good artwork on my part, but sometimes if the rear inflow jet, which is coming down this way, pushes down, parts of the line will bow out. You get the bow echo. And on the end, you get what we call the bookend vortices, where the wind would be going like this or like that, and everything would move out. And so oftentimes you've seen us when we're covering a squall line like that, we will look for the bulges in the line. And tornadoes that happen in lines, organized lines of storms, are very difficult to detect or to discern on the radar. You can see them, but you really have to know what you're looking for. That inflow or inflow notch sometimes in the back and little notches in the front where you have inflow going around. Lots happening. And so that's basically how it happens. Now, derecho is when that line propagates and continues on. And it has to extend more than 240 miles to be classified as a derecho. Why 240 miles? That's what the Weather Service says it has to be. So that's the number we use. And a derecho is, as I said, a long-lived wind storm associated with a band of rapidly moving thunderstorms or a squall line. And so it must, and again, these are the National Weather Service definitions, it must include wind gusts of at least 58 miles an hour along most of its length and several well-separated 75 mile per hour or greater gusts. And the typical, could be 60 miles wide and 400 miles long, some of the longer lived ones lasting overnight into the next day. Now, it's important to say that derechos do provide a lot of the needed rainfall that we need in the summertime. The bad thing is oftentimes they mash down the very crop that they're they're watering. We had a derecho event, it was in Iowa, and I can't remember the year, I'm sorry off the top of my head. It's been a few back, but the damage from that was greater than like a hurricane. It went across just thousands and thousands of acres of crops and destroyed them. So that's kind of the scale we're looking at. 72%, or about 3/4 of all of our derechos, happen this time of the year. In fact, May, which we just got out of, June, July are the months we tend to get the most. June and July, of course, about 40% of our derechos come. And then in the cooler seasons, not so much. So we typically get one derecho every year or two here in the tri-state, or we are affected by one in some way or another. So I hope that answered some of your questions about derechos. There is actually a forecast tool, and I don't have it in here, but it basically highlights the risk for derecho. And I think the CSU MLP, the machine learning probability AI stuff that's being worked on at Colorado State University may have a derecho parameter. I have it bookmarked on my computer in the office. But yeah, that's something else that we look at. James Allen Garrison, so could the derecho be just as bad, if not worse, than a tornado? Yes, in fact, it almost always, you have to be careful anytime you say never and always when explaining something, but almost always could be worse than a tornado in terms of area affected, right? I mean, just already, if it has to be a couple hundred miles long and X miles wide, you're talking about a much greater damage path or impact path than you would with even a long track tornado. Now, having said that, the tornado is going to have the stronger winds, at least the higher end tornado, EF 3, 4, 5. Derechos can have winds at EF2 strength, 110 or whatever the cutoff is. So that's an interesting question. But if I were, looking at just a general batch of tornadoes and a general batch of derechos, the derechos probably always would at least cover more ground and have more impact than the tornado. Now, of course, you'd have exceptions. The EF5 versus a puny derecho, well, the tornado would win. Let's see, you may have answered that question with a hurricane comment. I've been through a hurricane. Okay. All right, I think we got James taken care of there. Darlene Azel's on there. Are we good this Friday night in Owensboro for Friday after 5 with no rain? At this point, yes, it looks like it. James is worried that I would sweat too much while mowing the grass. Actually, today was a piece of cake. It was so dry out, but yeah, I've done it where you come in and you're pretty wiped out. I have a real hilly lawn, so you either have to walk like that or you're kind of walking on the side of your feet. So that's really the harder part. It's not a big lawn, it's just real slopey and hilly. All right, I think we got everybody's questions addressed here. Let me go around one more time. And we did. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, so I will go home and try, well, I got to do the news here at 10, which is when I'll see you the next time. But then I got to go home and probably break up yet another cat fight. So I will see you on 14 News at 10. In the meantime, stay safe. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.